Comedy Central Live was supposed to be a really exciting event in Southampton in October. It turned out to be an absolute nightmare. It really started before the event did. The tickets were initially going to be about £40 for shows, and if you wanted to see all of them, about over £100. But just before the event started, they dropped those prices down to only £20. We think probably because they weren't selling enough tickets. There was a few rail strikes and other things on that day what probably delayed things, so that probably caused a massive cut. When we entered, it seemed fine. It was pouring with rain, but that wasn't their fault, and we was able to sort of get into the first show okay. We had to collect tickets for some reason once we entered the show to be able to see the first act, which was fine. We were able to collect our tickets no problem and got on, and we saw people like the likes of Nish Kumar and others without any issues really. When we exited that event, we found that we couldn't leave the venue because it was no readmission. But the problem was it was absolutely pouring with rain and everyone was soaked. And then they started saying that you could leave, but only under the condition that you were a vegan, because the stalls there didn't sell vegan food. So obviously everyone suddenly became a vegan and was trying to get out. They then ran out of passes that allowed you to allowed readmission. So then they had to reprint them, and eventually they gave up on the idea completely and allowed anyone to leave and come as they wanted to. After that, it was kind of fine sailing for a little bit. We was able to see a few shows, like Lee Nelson and a few others. That was pretty enjoyable. We then, about 5 o'clock, we wandered over to collect our tickets for the main show. That's the Russell Howard shows, what we really wanted to see. We skipped other shows because we really wanted to make sure we got those tickets to see that main show, to find out they'd all been given away. And this was hours and hours before they were supposed to. On the leaflet we were given on entrance, it said we'd be able to collect our tickets for the main show at 6:40. This was only 5 o'clock and they were all gone. There was crowds and crowds of people all in the same situation, furious at the lack of tickets, and they felt like completely screwed. So the staff there didn't seem too bothered. I mean, they're only sort of temp workers, on minimum wage. They just told us to go speak to the box office, so we did. At the box office, they wouldn't speak to anyone. They shut the windows and hid away upstairs, and security just sort of sat there not doing much, trying to keep everyone calm. After that, we were just told to email the customer support at Ticket Line, who provided the tickets. At one point, the security were just telling everyone entering late just to go home. Don't bother coming in, because there's nothing they can see. Everything's completely maxed out. All the tickets have been given away. We were able to thankfully get in and see the roast battle, Comedy Central roast battle live. Although the queues were absolutely hectic, it seemed that no one was able to queue manage there, so the queues zigzagged all around the entire event, and it caused a lot of queue jumpers and arguments, and it was just terribly organised. It's definitely not an event I'd want to go to again. It's a shame because the entertainers, the performances were great. The acts were amazing, but it's just the organisers just didn't know what they were doing, and they didn't seem to care really either. It's like it was almost lost to begin with because they lost out on that big fees they were trying to get for the event at the start. So after that, they sort of, let it go to shit, really. I've given a phone call to Ticket Line, and they've said that they've spoken to the event organisers and they're waiting for them to comment on plans for a refund if possible. So really, that's all up in the air at the moment. We're just fingers crossed we'll be able to get our money back.